Thank you to Mandar and Mr. Pradipta.
Thank you.
We have these two gentlemen who are, experts from their industries. And today we are going to talk about why we should revisit our OT security. 2021 was the year of cyber attacks on industrial targets and critical infrastructure. And we have seen, from colonial pipeline to Transnet hack, we have seen that OT systems, when gets compromised, it leads to a big disaster, and further it also makes a monetary losses. When colonial pipeline attack happened last year, they were completely down for 6 days. They took more than 2 weeks to bring their operations to normalcy. And that threw a new fuel to the fire, and OT security has become a board-level discussion topic now. OT security also has a new requirement due to convergence of IT and OT, which are driving great automation and efficiency in industrial plants. Unfortunately, when we talk about OT security, there are lack of awareness among business leaders and other stakeholders. Since today we have industry experts with me, I will move to Mr. Mandar, and I will ask him that why any manufacturing or any corporate should have a robust OT security program. So Mandar, over to you.
Thank you, Bijender. Thank you, and really, privileged to be part of this discussion. And I'll try to keep it as brief and crisp as possible. So I think you're right, there needs to be a high level of awareness, but I believe that we today are at a stage where there is a good amount of awareness in terms of at least the importance of why, OT security, and especially from a cyber security perspective, needs to be on a very high priority. Obviously, because the impact and the consequences of any kind of cyber attacks on OT systems is far more damaging. It's not just financial losses, it's actually going to end up touching lives and environment, and we don't know how many cascading effects, right? Because if our production is down, we are suppliers for some other, the entire supply chain would also get impacted. So obviously, with that context, cybersecurity for OT has to be on a very high agenda. We have come along a good way in our IT side in terms of cybersecurity, and a lot of it can actually be extended to OT security. However, it needs to be aligned and tweaked and adopted to suit the OT environment. So that's the point. So, from that perspective, having a good, robust program for managing OT security is of paramount importance. In terms of, you start with, let's say, what are your primary, risks? What can go wrong in your OT environment? What consequences may happen if something goes wrong in a section, in a process, in a certain devices? So, and that's how we can, get all the relevant functions, teams from production, technical instrumentation on the same page in terms of, we all agree in terms of what risk we are carrying. Especially, they would understand the language of consequence better than the one of likelihood. When we talk about a simple risk management and talk about the risks to OT security, if we say this is likely, this has happened somewhere, something, a ransomware happened or some other, technical attacks, they may not appreciated it much, but when we say, okay, if something like this happened, it has, taken this downtime, has caused this fire or this outages, that's where, the gravity and seriousness and participation improves. And that's how we can kind of build onto this, the whole program for OT security.
Thank you, Mandar. Now I will come to Mr. Pradipta. I would like to know your views on, the robust OT security program, because, see, most of, plant managers or business leaders, they have very little understanding of OT controls and security. And it is very important. OT security plays very crucial role in OT systems operations. Yeah. So what do you think that why we should have a robust OT security program?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Bijender. I think OT security you have talked about, more of the digitization, what we are bringing to the industry nowadays. And without digitization or transformation, what you talk about today is the way forward. And on that topic, of course, once the digital transformation is moving towards the upper line, and we adopt a lot of automations, or might be like, a lot of sensors or PLCs, SCADA, or whatever technology we are bringing to the OT environment, definitely we need to secure it very, very, very think through, and there is certain deep of defense. That is what we can call is more of like, depth of defense. You have to create a layer of defense on those around on the OT, because today OT and IT is no more a different island. It is the same island you can talk about. It is merged altogether. Earlier those days, the legacy system, which is not part of OT network or IT network. Today, most of OT systems talk about the plant information management system. Definitely, it is connected to your cloud today. The way the cloud adoption is happening, the industrializations and the industries are moving towards, or the information which is getting from that industries or the plant or the supply chain floor, it's already moving to the cloud. So definitely that from supply chain floor or shop, from there till to the cloud, we have to manage the security about end to end. It is not like half of the things we can manage your isolation part. That is no more that digitization or transformation what you're talking about. It has not been that, because we need a efficiency, we need a very faster production outcome of it. And again, in the same point of time, we need to see that your skill resources, because resources is also key for that. So a lot of repeated work, or might be that efficient work, all those things will be happen through that OT itself. So how we can secure those? First of all, is most of the cases, if you see that OT is the way Mr. Bijender has already highlighted, colonial pipeline. Let's say 70,000 outlets not been there in the system for more than some days, some hours. Or you can talk about the Taiwan electricity distribution functions. It is not there for, it is completely outage, it has been hacked. Okay, same time, if you talk about certain water supply system in in USA, some of the state having the water supply system is taken care by one of the hacker and the supervisor system. There is a sulfuric hydroxide. The ratio is 3% to some X%. So definitely it is harmful to that civilians. So cybersecurity, or might be that the way it has been evolving today, it is definitely paramount for all industries, all OT or might be supply chain complete network. So creating a OT, the way Mr. Bijender has already highlighted, Mandar is already touched upon, that how we can create a robust OT security. First is the micro segmentation. You have to segmentize what are the OT infrastructure what you have, and it should be have appropriate protocols. Port should be configured appropriately so that we can segmentize those in the network level. That is the first thing. Second thing is how when you transition your data, or might be the traffic from your OT to IT, or to IT to cloud, or might be some one OT to another OT, or device to device communication. You should have appropriate segmentation where we can do, whether it is the firewall side of it you can talk about, or more of think through those protocols and those ports to be configured accordingly. Most of the time, we have, if you can see, these breaches or might be the compromises are happening through human errors. How many people be agreed that most of the time there is a due to human error, a lot of breaches, or might be the attacks are happening. How many of us agree? Please raise your hand. Almost all 60 to 70% users, or might be it is a human error. That is the weakest link we can talk about, right? But we can create a human firewall as well. Okay, how it is that? Because of the It's a culture you have to build on. It's a training, or else like, we have to have like moral of the hands-on training to certain places, or might be the awareness coming to that shop floor engineers who is operating your system, SCADA, or might be PLC, or might be sensors. So those are things to be there in the culture you have to create. The people process technology, though it is there in place, but still we need to have appropriate culture in that organization, starting from the shop floor. Or till the time like, you have your team who is consuming your data, or plant management systems, or might be anywhere. It is talk about the port, talk about the power plant, talk about any supply, any manufacturing industry. This to be in place. And most important thing I think I should cover in the next point, where we can have the zero trust. Okay, I'll be leaving and parking to Bijender for that in the last stage. But okay, of course, the human will be most, I can summarize this point is a human being or human errors. And second point is that appropriate network segmentizations and understanding that what data to be, like, what port and what traffic need to be goes where. You have to visualize the traffic in place so that we can take a corrective actions. Okay, that is what I'm submitting this point.
So thank you very much, Pradipta, for your insights. It was very helpful, in fact, to understand. One major challenge is, most of manufacturing corporates, they face how to identify internal threat and risk, and what precautions they should take to avoid that risk. You talked about human error. That, see, in cybersecurity, we always say that technology has very limited role to play. And it's just 2%. 98% it's a human psychology. What best practices we should follow, what we are following, what we should not do, and what we should do. So human psychology plays a very instrumental role in cybersecurity. And I can give you one example. Last year in US, in Florida, one of the water treatment released increased percentage of acid in the water distribution management system.
Yeah.
And it happened due to manipulation of their control systems. Thanks God that that mistake was identified at very early stage, and they immediately addressed that finding, but it was very critical. Just imagine if 70% more acid you released in your water management system. You can just imagine that what was about to happen. Yeah. So human error really very, I would say that it's a pain point for most of OT operations I have seen. How to avoid that human error? What type of trainings do they need to have? And also awareness. Your system operators, your plant engineers, your plant head, your other resources who are handling with the OT systems, how they ensure that they follow all the best practices to ensure that your system is broadly safe and secure. So I will come to Mr. Mandar and I will get his insights on that.
Thank you. So I think you raised a very valid point, very, very valid point in terms of, whatever these controls, especially related to where there's a human behind, every action that could be a responsible or a cause for that incident. I think, for example, the typical controls that we have on IT side, right? Like in terms of access control review, how are we addressing the privileged access? Do we have a right level of segregation of duty? Can, within your DCS with a single login, are you able to do so many things, or you have got some segregation of duties and authorizations configured? I think those kind of controls goes a long way. So that there are examples where still default passwords could be lying. Have we validated and audited it in detail? That have we got rid of all default passwords? Is the password sharing completely eliminated? Are we having a good grip over the usage of USB at our plants, at our manufacturing sites, right? You may think you are restricted, but we need to be on top of what's the real situation on ground. people tend to choose convenience, and that's where the security kind of gets compromised, right? For example, Pradeep was coming at the point of zero trust, and there could be incidents where, someone, if he's not well aware, he may just have connect some data card or some through mobile hotspot and create some backdoors or some entry points, because those are like really risky areas. Some people may not be doing it with a real malicious intent. They may just want to get over things quickly, and that's very convenient. Just use some AnyDesk or any remote access, but they don't know how to use it securely, and that's where our role comes in terms of whatever awareness control we are talking about in IT side are extended as much as possible even in those areas. I mean, in terms of incident response, in terms of all these access control reviews, in terms of ensuring that the impact of changes is analyzed and discussed within the forum before allowing and approving any change. So I think those are the things that would go really long along, because from IT side, when we think, right, there's a limited thing that we can do to secure IT. We can start from our IT side. At least make sure that all the vectors of getting inside OT, it could be through our network, through USB or whatever channel, at least we need to be on top of that and make sure those are regulated well, so that and then we can get onto the level of what more can be done within the OT side of it.
Thank you, Mandar. So coming to Mr. Pradipta, I mean, see, one thing I think should be very clear, that when we talk about IT security and OT security, in IT security we are intending to protect bits and bytes. But when we talk about OT security, we are intending to protect data and physical assets, both. For IT security, we have quite matured zero trust framework which has been adopted widely. So zero trust means that you never trust anyone, you always verify. Yeah, I'm not very sure. I mean that how OT systems has adopted that zero trust framework, and I would like Mr. Pradipta to put some lights on that.
Yeah. See, zero trust is just a buzzword, right, guys? Because we have seen in the past as well. We have IAM, that is Identity Access Management, we had earlier as well. And apart from that, we have IAAM, that is, you have to identify authentication, then authorizations, then you have audit and controls. Okay, this is the basic parameter, it is already there in place. And the zero trust is like a moral of, we are hyping, okay, though it is a buzzword, then we can take it up, we have to not trust, always we have to verify. But looking into that perspective, what is the threat landscape today we have? Okay, it is not on-prem, right? After this pandemic, then definitely it has gone to your every home. That how we can protect those devices and the users. So we need to have appropriate profiling, whether it is a device-ware profiling or the user-side profiling. Wherever, irrespective of which device and where he is accessing, this is immaterial now. So we need to have appropriate profiling. Okay, that is what the point, what we can say is moral of this pandemic has taught us also, having access through VPN, or might be secure a lot of applications, or might be the data or the application what you accessing to your corporate world, right? The point is now, though it highlighted about zero trust is not the technology we can give it to single point of solutions. Something the product you apply, that is a zero trust is done. No, it is a best practices, disciplines, as well as we can talk about moral of the component, the way I said, identity access management, that should be verified. The way today identity access management, we can talk about, Mandar is already touched upon, that passwords today. What is happening is the default passwords there in your switch, or might be the firewall not having any rule, it is any to any rule. Some places you think that the firewall is up and running, but it is all open. If you make any to any, it doesn't require firewall. Okay, so on that perspective, again, the password, it is a very interesting point that I have seen most of the places. If you say that 8-digit character or 10-digit character should be capital, small letter, and that alphanumeric, and you have wild character, something that people does ABC, age, capital ABC @ 1, 2, 3, 4. How many of you have that? Of course, everyone has. I can see, even though the same password, your domain password have been accessed, it's like, your banking sites, your Myntra.com and all e-commerce sites, same thing is your internal password. So even though the same time you are saving your password in your browsers, whether internet browser or Chrome, you are saving the passwords. It is a hacker's paradise, like, they can crack all your browser passwords. And today, if you're not able to find out your password, you've forgotten your password, please pay $12 to, like, darknet hackers. They will give you your password, what you lost. Whether it is a bank password or it is your social media password. It is true, yes, we have a lot of organizations, we have seen that their CXO level team, CXO people, their passwords are same for their, like, the bank as well as the domain, in the same time it is there for mobile. So it has been hackable, easily hackable. So that is where we come to the picture that identity access management, we have to have that appropriate password things. Second point is that no trust, where we can talk about the 𝗖cie is a framework. Okay, security access and, like, service in the edge level, security in the edge level. What does that mean is, starting from your system, till the time you access to your application, everything to be saved, like, so that we can start from your system, your endpoint, like say it is laptop, desktop, your Mac or your tablets or your mobile. So you have to secure from there the device, and from there till the time, like, you can secure your network, till then you have to secure your applications, then, like, you have to secure your cloud as well. Cloud is like, it is a shared responsibility, the cybersecurity is. If you say that I'm passing on all my, risks to the cloud partner, you are gone. You are gone, completely gone. You will not, like, the data is always with you. Information is always with the customers. Only the IaaS provider or SaaS provider or PaaS provider only giving you the platform or the services or infrastructure. Unless until, like, you are not controlling your data on transit or data in motion or data in rest. If you are not taken care of it, even though it is the cloud, you are gone completely. Okay, so this is where, like, we can see technology can, like, support you, enabling you for your digital transformations. And at the same time, you to have your appropriate skilled team, people at your place or your organization to ensure, maintain those systems on the cloud, the data in rest or the OT or IT, whatever we are talking about, that should be in this very structured manner. The zero trust, again, to coming to the picture is, okay, of course, there is a tool called, okay, DLP, we have implemented your EDR, HDR, then it will be coming to your network is a NAC, and the network access control. Then you can come to your wireless IPS, then you have your network firewall, IPS, IDS, then again you go back to top, then we have web applications, like, firewalls again, you have then load balancers. Is all tools are in place. It is a layer you have to clear, like, you have to create a layer of defense. It is not like, I keep the firewall, I am safe. No, that is not the case. Similar case for the OT and IT, there is no difference on that, because ultimately your data, either it is a telemetry data or this data is almost all the same. It is getting into your cloud or storage or certain server to process it, right? But you need also to have the data what you are collecting from the systems that need to process so that we can give a meaningful information and context. So that is where it is play very crucial role for the insider to have the thought through on the deep defense, what you can talk about, depth and defense, that layer of security you have to build up. Along with that, we need to have the zero trust, where this is a framework or this is 𝗖cie is a framework. You need to build up your till from your endpoint till to the cloud. Okay, so that is where we can place the the zero trust is a play very crucial role. In any industry, it is not only manufacturing industry, any industry, the zero trust play the key role. But the 𝗖cie from a overall perspective, if you look end to end, if you take up this zero trust network, then definitely you should have the 𝗖cie framework to be implemented, not in that at a time, like, you can't implement everything in the same time. You can start your journey, and organization has already started the journey from there. So slowly we can start from your endpoint, the network, your perimeter, then you can go into the web, and then the CASB we can talk about for the web. web IPS today it is there. You have a lot of web application firewalls. A lot of things are there in place, but most important things after putting all those people, process, technology, you should have that smart intelligence like that AI and ML to play a role here, right? And that all the data, whatever the systems you have getting those data, it should be giving you the meaningful visibility to you and on the day, or the live visibility to that. Then you have to have your next generation SIM, that is called your logs. It will be analyzing your log and correlate your log and giving you the right meaningful data. If your password is compromised or your privilege access is compromised somewhere, it should give you alert in the real time. It's not like after 4 hours if you're getting this alert, what you'll do already, it has been already penetrated to your system. So this system, ecosystem to be in place, and you should get a immediate alert on those. So that is where we have to take action as well. So it is not only the protection detections, then we can have we have to response faster should be there all in place. You should have your incident management team, or you create an incident management team who can respond faster. After getting the information in the night 2 o'clock, what will do then if you're not responding on the right time? If you wait for tomorrow morning, then everything is gone. Your ransomware is completely taken over your network, right? So that response is faster. Then again, the recovery. You will do the response, that's fine. But whatever the recovery point, you have to ensure that your backups, your BCP is to be in place. If that is not placed, then again it is gone, everything is taken care of, fine. Then you should have your BCP and DR in place, and your backups should be in place. Also, those backups to be restored on time. And you have to do testing always, your restoration part of it. It is not that when you need your backup doesn't work. Your data you can't restore, right? So that has happened, right? It's a reality. So what will come, you have to have periodically, you have to restore your data always, whatever you have taken backup. And backup should not be there it is a one backup I have created, that's fine. No, you should have your multiple backup system in place so that we can control those backup, and you can have, if one is compromised, second is there, copy with you, right? You don't need to pay any ransomware. Today, if you talk about the colonial pipeline, my friend is already spoke about, the government, US government has paid over some $1.4 million or Bitcoin to the hackers, right? So that is where it is. So you don't need to pay for the ransom. If you have the backup, you can restore that always. And you never know that if the ransom pay, after paying also you're not getting your data. Because it's a dual ransomware payment, right? Because if you can attack into your system, if you have encrypted your system, it doesn't mean that the data is already taken. He might have taken your data as well. He will ask you to giving the encryption key, and the same time he will be asking you, I have your data, look. You have to pay again another ransomware so that I can give your data, or I will not publish your data to market darknet. Okay? So you are paying twice. After that also you never know that either your data you are getting or not. So ransomware payment is not, but of course it is looking into your risks, your organizations, or how much you can have your appetite in the organization, risk appetite. On that basis we can negotiate on that. The point is today, if you look into Indian industry, of course there are 60 to 70% whether the data has been breached, or might be your ransomware attack has been there. All the industry I'm talking about in India, 60 to 70%. Hope everybody is agree on that. How many of them agreed? 60 to 70% organization's data have been breached, or they might have attacked by ransomware. How many of them agreed? Almost all, 60 to 70% organization, irrespective of industry. I'm telling you, if you have any debate, you have the data in place. You can get it off all the research organization, they have already done this data. It is already in place. Just Google it, you can find out. Okay. So the point is, what I'm trying to tell you is, why this is 70% is happen. It is found that out of this, 42% found by the internal insider threats. It is insider people has given 42%. Remaining 18 to 20% is external attacks. Right? So that is where we need to strengthen our internal part of it. Of course, the external part, definitely we have to take care of the zero trust, privilege access, and you need to have appropriate culture and people skill and training and awareness. Thank you.
Thank you, Pradipta. So you touched upon rightly on password, Unfortunately, if you see widely, used password, normally, if you see that list, that what type of password normally we use, you will find that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that is the password which has been used widely, most of the time. And all we know that password is the first line of defense against unauthorized access to your system. So password strengthening is very important. Sometimes you will have difficulty. You will think that, oh, I need to remember multiple passwords. I need to change passwords very often. But that is required to protect your landscape. So password is very important. The other point you touched upon, Pradipta, regarding awareness. See, one thing, it's human psychology. I mean, no one wants to have control, you know. If I want to control you, you may not feel good, you know. You will think. And normally, as a security professionals, I mean, we have been doing thankless job. Whenever we try to put some controls, I mean, all the time we have you know, resistance from user side, even from business side. But whatever controls we are trying to put, that is for the betterment of the business. That needs to be understood. So when we talk about controls, I mean, again, user awareness is very important. Once you realize that why I am putting such controls, probably you will not react the way you are reacting now. So that is one thing even I have seen. The next point is what I am trying to highlight here, that when this pandemic started, suddenly we became more disciplined. We started to, you know, follow protocol. We started to, you know, keep social distancing. We started to, you know, use sanitizers to protect ourselves. But when it comes to IT security or OT security, we are not following a best practices, what we call it cyber hygiene. So cyber hygiene is equally important for IT security and OT security. For IT security, I mean, we run a lot of awareness campaign for our users. We advise them what you should do, what you should not do. But when it comes to OT security, I mean, we have multiple challenges. OT security is something which needs to be taken care, you know, with high priority, because if you see, a lot of cyber attacks are happening, and it's a high time for OT systems to follow a best cyber hygiene practices. So I will come to Mandar and will get his thought, what he thinks about OT cyber hygiene practices.
Very valid point. So I think when it comes to awareness, just to, you know, before getting into the awareness, the awareness on OT side also needs to be quite tailored and targeted to, you know, those who are like behind those engineering station, monitoring station, you know, running on the shop floor, so that you know, they can relate it more to that awareness. So the general IT security awareness may not you know, it may not get appreciated to that extent, and therefore having a tailored program just for that targeted users would actually make a long way and good impact. When it comes to, I think, cyber hygiene, I think organizations, if you have adopted any standards, let's say like an ISO 27000, which many organizations do, you know, it can be actually extended to, you know, your OT, your manufacturing function, technology, everything can be part of the same scope, so that the same governance structure gets extended to them. All the, you know, routine things like, you know, checking the endpoint security control, the patching aspect of it, the endpoint security aspect of it, the access control aspect of it, all these hygiene aspects, you know, get covered there as well. Passwords, of course, and you know, why should password policy be not followed on that side, right? There is no reason why you know, the password policy that we use on the IT side, why it cannot be used the other side. So I think those controls actually would go a long way. Beyond that is, I think the way I see is, make sure that you know, ISO is one thing that, you know, many of them might be familiar, and therefore it's a little easy to extend. Some of the organizations can even look at like a NIST standard. You know, there are so many very well documented standards and controls available industry wide or in general for OT security. That framework, we can see where we stand, assess you know, where we stand against those, because those are also addressing all these security hygiene aspects. I think you can start with any of them, no need to, you know, churn so many things, but always keep in mind that you know, whatever we do is something that's bringing our risk to more acceptable level than where we are today. Otherwise, you know, just putting control for the sake of it, or, you know, just trying to patch all the machines 100% patching we never achieved. I mean, that's like a dream. Even in IT side we struggle. There is no way you know, we can do that on OT side. and OT being so driven by the OEMs, our teams will not even agree to patch unless it's a qualified patch from OEM. What we can influence in that sense is that at least we have a contract with the OEM to make sure that the qualified patches by them are kind of periodically updated on all our systems. Whatever qualified antivirus they are suggesting or recommending or implemented, it's getting updated on a regular basis as part of that contract, and nothing ad hoc or like whenever they visit or anything of that sort. I think that would be some of the key points.
Thank you, Mandar. Pradipta, can you put some lights on that?
Yeah, I think best hygiene what we are talking about is the standard what Mandar is already touched upon. See, we have basically so many standards are available already, and the best is ISO 27001 2013, and we have NIST, the 800 series we have, that is includes your critical infrastructure and other part of it, it is already there in place. And we can also adopt the 𝗖𝗶𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗃 in 𝗖𝗂𝗃, we have those processes, or the framework is already in place, the best practices are already in place. So that is what we need to follow, all the controls, wherever it is internal, external, and communication side of it. We need to have those controls in place. That is the best hygiene. But apart from that, of course, the patching part, what is touch upon, the basic parameters should be there in place. Basic means the foundation things should be there in place. But if you talk about IT perspective, okay, the patches might be the server is okay, fine. What about endpoints? The endpoints might be not been updated. If your patches is updated, build is not updated, okay? And if you talk about OT side of it, the farmers are not been upgraded so many years. It is a reality, guys. If you can see, if you agree or not, a lot of like in OT environment, the patches have been not upgraded for so many years. And that is not compatible to your Windows 10 or 11 or the Linux on the world. It is not compatible. It is only compatible to Windows 7 till the time it is Windows 8. But still it is a vulnerable there in the system. That practical ground reality. Okay. So these are things are in place. At second time, it is a huge cost if you want to upgrade your system coming back to your network. The system OT network or OT systems, you can talk about PLC or any SCADA system. If you completely upgrading to one phase to the another phase, it's a huge capacity intensive, right? So that should be happen like, the periodical basis as per the business priorities and how much you want to do the automations or business transformation on the supply chain side of it. It is an organization strategy altogether at the year-on-year basis. Okay, so those are things in place. Apart from the cybersecurity, what you are talking about, though I said OT and IT never be any difference now. It is everything in the same island. So we need to treat both that island, or you can the single island today to the similar treatment. But having said that, that budget is again, like, as I said, if you have, there are few challenges as well. I'm not talking about all the hygienes. Hygienes comes like, the best practices comes with the investment, okay, and the budget should be approved, and that should be justified, and it will be so-called the TCO and ROI should be there in place, okay. So you need to justify that, convince to that business, and it is business, like, what strategy they are bringing to the picture, and what is that revenue or the profit is coming to the table. And if the senior management support is required, that is what is the most important point. Whatever, wherever, and whatever, like, initiative you do on the cybersecurity front, definitely that is a part of it. And having said that, the digital transformations, when you do all those in OT and IT, all the cases, it is bringing those, like, the risks is always associated to it. We have to do the risk treatment accordingly, and looking into the organizations that how much appetite we have to minimize the risks, but still there is a residual part your organization has to take. Everything cannot be mitigated, avoid, and transfer. We have to accept certain risks into our environment. So that is where we have to see that how much we can accept the risks, and you have to prepare for that. Okay, so this is what basic things. But having said that, summarizing this is you have to make our basic thing right. The basic is important, the foundational thing is important, which need to be right.
Thank you, Pradipta. You nicely articulated. Diksha, if your time permits, we can take one or two questions.
One to speak
All right, no problem. We can do that. Yeah.
Sir.
So, thank you very much, Danya.
Thank you so much,
you so
team.
much.
Thank you so much.